Hey, welcome to The Lonely Dragon. I'm Edwin Perez.
And I'm Joanna Gaskell, and we're here with Brian Clement.
Yay!
How's it going?
Great.
Good, cool. So, tell us about who you are and where you're from.
My name is Brian. You know that. We already
do.
know that.
Yeah.
I'm friends with the guy who's apparently making this thing, Rob. I met him several years ago, as well as Joanna, when I was working on a cheap, low-budget zombie movie in Victoria, where I grew up. And I was doing these on contract for a company in the UK, and I had done several direct-to-DVD horror movies for this company in upstate New York called SRS Cinema, and they ranged in quality greatly. Let's say one of them was the original was called Meat Market, and then I did some other ones called Exhumed, and then the more recent ones, I guess 2006, 2007, Meat Market 3, Dark Paradox, are a little bit higher quality. Still, very low on the scale, but this is all before DSLRs even existed, by the way. Then I moved to Toronto in 2008, and I still come out here and visit regularly, and I was just recently here in Vancouver in April shooting scenes for a web series called Improbability. It's a sci-fi web series with the help of some of the standard action people, and that is going to be premiering in the end of August this year, 2013, and I guess by the time this is all together, hopefully we'll have our first episode up. We have a prologue episode up right now. People want to check it out. It's at improbabilia.net.
Cool. Okay, so Improbability, right? So what's it about? What's your pitch for Improbability?
It's a sci-fi web series about a guy who goes in for paid medical testing after he loses his job and develops strange abilities. And he escapes from the medical testing facility and hooks up with a group of superpowered mutants and various other creatures living underground in this hidden district of Toronto called Improbabilia. That's where the name the word originally comes from what I guess it was in the 20s and 30s. Before there was such a term as science fiction, anything that was fantasy, sci-fi, outside the norm would be filed in the library as Improbabilia. And so that's what I took the name from.
Awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like an awesome project. Where'd you get the idea from?
Well, when I first moved to Toronto, I had no job, and I was working a succession of crappy part-time jobs. And at one point, when I lost the job that I had, I decided to go in for paid medical testing. And I made enough money to buy myself a new camera so that I could continue working on low-budget films in my spare time. And the testing that I was part of was we would take doses of drugs and see the effect on our desire to engage in video gambling. And they were comparing the mind of a gambling addict with a regular person. I was the control group, and what would happen. And what the results was that people like myself who were given these drugs would be more inclined to gamble, whereas problem gamblers would actually have their gambling desire depressed.
Wow, that's really
because
interesting.
Their brains are actually wired differently. Yeah.
Now my question is, did you get superpowers out of this?
My superpower included wanting to gamble a lot.
Huh.
And then not being able to sleep. If insomnia counts as a superpower, then yeah.
Wow. Crazy.
I've done something similar. I actually went and did, they were testing out a new energy drink. And so I got this package in the mail. Yeah, they had this package in the mail, and it was just like little bottles of, the different types of whatever, natural energy drinks that they wanted to test out. And they tasted terrible, all of them. But every time I tried one, it had to be under certain conditions, right? So you'd go to the one, and you look at the list and check off the things that you felt, didn't feel, and so on, right? And it was like the weirdest thing. They brought us in, and we talked about this whole thing. They all tasted bad. And then we had to pick a name and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, really cool.
Yeah, I totally understand what you went through.
Yeah.
I had to fill out all sorts of forms and reactions, what my emotional state was, and I would often feel really great about life after doing these drugs. Fortunately, it was one session a week for about a month, and after that, they paid me like $1,200, and I got my camera and everything.
Awesome.
So everything went well, and then I got a real job, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. And now I can afford to come and visit Vancouver.
So you've been making independent film for an awfully long time.
Yeah, I've been working on stuff, since the 90s, but that was, cheap little SVHS, back when there was such a thing as SVHS, or 8mm video. And then we moved up to the Canon XL1, when there was a Canon XL1, before, DSLRs took over, and shot, I think the first thing I shot in the XL1 would have been Exhumed, and then we moved up to Meat Market 3, Dark Paradox, and yeah.
So what do you shoot on DSLR now?
Now I shoot on DSLR, yes.
Okay. So what in this sort of, since the late 90s or 90s, since you've been making film, what have you learned? What are some of the big life lessons that you can tell independent filmmakers out there?
Patience.
Yeah.
Yes, I really learned how to deal with people and disparate personalities and all sorts of different kinds of people showing up on set, actors, people with varying schedules, people with sort of prima donna attitudes, and it becomes over time easier to deal with difficult personalities. And then after a while, you just learn patience dealing with people who don't know their lines or show up late or whatever the little problems are. It's just sort of let these things slide and just realize that it's really not that big of a deal and you'll get it done.
Cool. Okay, so where again can we see your stuff? Improbability is going up soon.
Yes, my old work, frontlinefilms.net, and then the new stuff would be on handsomерobot.com, and that's on the Improbability.net is a sub-site on that because the Handsome Robot is the new production company that I've been working on in Toronto, and Improbabilia is the web series, and that is the one that's going to be starting at the end of the month.
Great.
Yeah.
And how many episodes can we expect?
13, including the prologue.
Awesome. Awesome.
Very cool. All right, anything else you want to tell us about?
Yeah, I wrote a book.
You wrote a book? What's your book about?
It's a science fiction novel. It's 320 pages long. It's being published in December, supposedly, unless it gets pushed back. And it's a sci-fi horror conspiracy theory book based on an old screenplay. The old screenplay I wrote in 2009, and that was eventually translated into a truncated version that we made into Project Breakwater, which was a short film that ended up getting turned into sort of a mini web series kind of thing. We put it up online. And that comes from the same basis that the book came from. The book is now called The Final Transmission. It has similar characters and situations, but it's a bigger scale conspiracy horror thriller. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, fantastic. So it's available now?
No. The book will be available in December. Like I said, it's going to be published once we've settled on the cover art and the final edits and everything.
Great.
Awesome. Great. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for
Enjoy
having me.
your rest of your time in Vancouver.
I'll do my best.
Awesome. And we'll see you guys on the next one.